Traditionally, when we describe someone as the black sheep of the family or the free spirit, we usually mean it negatively. In other words, we mean they're not like the rest of us. They're different. They tend to cause disruption in the family and sometimes in the church. But I think at times, those we identify as black sheep or free spirits are some of the most gifted people in the world. I remember when I was in the seminary, some of the most gifted young men were asked to leave or chose to leave because they were the black sheep or free spirits. Another term that we tend to use negatively is the word disability. I heard recently that people do not have disabilities, they have different abilities. My point is that there are words that we use every day, and we may need to change their meanings. Speaking about sheep, by the way, today's gospel is about the Good Shepherd. And this weekend, whether you know it or not, was the World Day to pray for vocations. One of my vocations, as you know, is to the priesthood. But I also have a vocation to be a Christian. And that's what I want to talk about. You know, we can get so caught up in talking about being a practicing Catholic that we sometimes are oblivious to whether we are a practicing Christian. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "I love your Christ, but I don't understand your Christians." That's an indictment. Here's a good question that we each have to ask ourselves. If we were ever put on trial for being a Christian, would we be found guilty or not guilty? So what makes me a practicing Christian? If I wear a crucifix, does that mean I'm a practicing Christian? Or if I call myself one? Or if I become born again, does that mean I'm automatically a practicing Christian? Or what if I go to church? Or if I can quote the Bible? Or what if I believe that Jesus died for me? Do those make me a practicing Christian? Or if I own a catechism? Or if I say my prayers every day? Does that mean I'm a practicing Christian? I think our understanding of religion is changing greatly during our lifetime. Religion used to be thought about as something very private and very personal, something between God and me. For many of us, even going to Mass was a private devotion. Life was much more centered then around being Catholic rather than being Christian. Today, we tend to see religion much more broadly than we did in the past. For example, it is much more communal now than personal. It's not necessarily about God and me, but about God and us. Mass is meant to be a community celebration rather than a private devotion. And it's about my responsibility for other people, including not only my friends and my neighbors, but strangers, those I don't know, those I will never meet. In other words, we now have responsibility for every human being in this world. We didn't always see it that way. And I think even hearing confessions is an indication of the change that is taking place in people's understanding of religion. For example, it used to be much more about disobeying and lying and missing Mass on Sunday, which are very personal and very private. But now, when you hear confessions, you hear people speak much more about being prejudiced, or treating people unjustly, or not respecting life in all of its forms, including the environment. That means we're getting much more social or community conscious. I suppose it's the difference between having a fat God and a thin God. Think about it. The fatter your God is, the more you are aware that it is not just about being Catholic, but about being Christian. And the thinner your God is, the more concerned you are about being Catholic rather than Christian. Aren't they the same? I think they are. But I remember growing up and someone saying to me, "Are you a Christian?" And I'd say, "No, I'm not a Christian, I'm a Catholic." How sad is that? How sad is that? What we are Catholic Christians. You know, Christians call the gospel the good news. And gospel with a small g, by the way, is the good news recorded by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And today we had one of those written by John. But they are words on a page. Gospel with a capital G or a big G, on the other hand, is living out those words. Some days we do it well, other days we don't do it as well. But some of the people that I find do it best are the black sheep, the free spirits, and those with different abilities. I believe they are gifts to our world and gifts to our church. And so today, I salute them.